if you're having a one-on-one conversation with individuals, maybe it's your weekly one-on-one, or you've got two or three people you might be meeting with, you can go to the compare functionality. And in here, you can see these demo characters. We've got Cassie and Josh in here. So if I go to compare, okay, I can look at our motives, and let's pull in a couple of other people here. Pull in Eric. So if I've got meetings with Eric and Chloe and Amy here, I can see what's important to them. I can see that really Amy really cares about and values the growth and development of people. Okay. Um, Whereas Chloe, her primary motives is really driven around getting things done, taking action, that performance drive for her. Whereas Eric really values that process, that logic, that reason. Okay. You can see further on their results down here. Again, it's that primary motive for Eric of what's most important, is that logical order process. He does care about people and growth and development. He does care about performance, just not as frequent as trying to understand the why or strategy of why we might be doing things. Okay. And what this allows me to do is have this visibility here, and then I can go to these insights and further understand how I can tailor my listening, my speaking, showing appreciation, knowing what's important to individuals. Okay. These endorsements are really driven by the validation statements and people endorsing these. So if you do have people on your team that have similar motives, it's going to personalize it a little bit more for each one of those individuals. Okay. Um, Here I can also click in and I can get the communication tips to improve my meetings, my messages, my conversations. So if I click in here on messages, it's going to give me quick tips to tailor my messaging, knowing what's important to Amy. Okay, sample subject lines, content, is going to connect to her blue people motive or drive. Ask about their feelings and reactions. Openly express your feelings or concerns. Use a personal or sincere tone. A little bit different than how I might tailor that language to Chloe's red performance drive. Put the bottom line up front, right? Maybe if I'm writing an email, I'm going to keep it to 3 or 4 bullet points, not 3 or 4 paragraphs, because I'm going to lose her, right? So these communication tips to improve meetings, messages, conversations, and things to avoid, knowing what's important. I can also go to when things aren't going well, and I can look at what's important to each of these individuals when faced with conflict. Okay. And so I can see here, the arrowhead again represents that first stage of conflict. Okay. When we're in the workshops, we talk a lot about opposition versus conflict. Opposition's healthy, generates creativity and innovation. But when things cross the line, they violate our values or our motives, that's when it can trigger conflict with people. Okay. And so knowing what's important, we all experience conflict in stages. In that first stage, it's self, problem, and others. If we can't resolve conflict and we go to stage 2, the other person's perspective isn't as clear as it once was. We get more focused on the problem and the impact on us. And then in the third stage, which you may not see that often in the professional workplace, but if you can't resolve it, the problem and the other person's perspective goes out of focus, and it's really focused on self-worth and the impact on us. So what we target here is how can we resolve conflict in those first stages and get back to when conditions are working well. So in this first stage for Amy, it's giving an example here where what's important to her is to analyze the situation, give enough time and space to ensure that we understand, that Amy understands what's going on. And her last stage, stage 3, is to assert. So she's going to spend a lot of her time trying to analyze what's going on. How did we get here? What's the impact on people? Okay. And to, accommodate, keep relationship strong, she may try and solve those issues there. But if she does go to that third stage of assertiveness, it might be pretty unhealthy and unpleasant for her and unpleasant for others. What's different here for Chloe in that first stage of assert is that she really views assertive as being very productive. It's very positive. She's trying to address things, bring things up right away to get them resolved, whereas other people might be feeling, gosh, I don't know as though I'd bring that up right now in this environment. Okay. So understanding what's important to individuals allows us to tailor our communication style and approach to give people the time and space or conversations to work through those issues more productively. Okay.
Craig,
I need,
You'd probably say this is really the essence of the of why crucial learning went down this approach with SDI, with the work that they do with work we do with our training and embedding, these skills, but having enriching that with this information.
yeah, absolutely. When you're going to engage in some of those conversations and how someone might react and what's important to them,
Yeah,
right? You can engage in that shared pool of meaning
that's right.
a little bit differently, right?
Yeah,
And this really helps leaders or team members when we're engaging in conversations, really understand and appreciate where people are coming from. Okay, it allows the leader to, in this example, um, give Amy a little bit more time and space. Maybe Chloe is going to bring some things up in the meeting because she wants to resolve it quickly, but that's not necessarily fair to someone that wants to analyze the facts and the history and how we got here. So it really provides the insights to allow those leaders or team members to understand and tailor how we're going to work through those situations. So now if we look at the strength portrait, okay, the strength portrait allows us to look at all 28 strengths here for these three team members here in comparison to my strengths. So at the top, there's 28 unique strengths. So 1 through 6 are going to be those top strengths that are relatively easy for these individuals to bring to work every day. And then as we move a little bit south, further down this portrait, you're going to see some secondary strengths. And then at the bottom are going to be the strengths that are least like that person. Takes a little bit more effort and intentionality for people to use. So I can look at this view here and know that if I'm engaging with Chloe and I really need her to be a mentor and support a new person, maybe some of those blue strengths down here aren't going to be easy for her to adopt and leverage. So it provides me great insights to provide awareness, coaching, support, provide compliments to her when she is using the right strengths in those situations. I can click through here to get different views of each individual. We'll look at a team composite here in just a minute. I also can, in those tips, when things are not going well, how I can adjust my communication style and approach as we talked about.